Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Claudia, and I'm the Content Marketing Manager here at Proformex. Today, we are happy to bring you our fourth installment of the beloved Marketing with Morris webinar series. I just want to remind everybody, like always, we have the chat box and Q&A features open, and any questions that you might have for our two presenters today, you can throw in either of those places, and we'll address those at the end. So without further ado, I'll hand things off to our Chief Marketing Officer, David Morris.
All right, thanks, Claudia. And welcome everybody to episode 4 of Marketing with Morris, turning chaos into cash. First of all, I want to thank those of you who are returning and welcome all of the new folks here that are in attendance. Our format is simple, it's conversational. Like Claudia said, if you have any questions, feel free to simply put them in the chat box and we'll get to them. Sometimes we get to them at the end. Sometimes it segues nicely into the conversation that we're having. So don't wait till the end. Just feel free to lob them in the chat box. Lastly, our goal is very simple here. We'd love for you to walk away with 1 or 2 things that you could implement immediately, something that would help you build your business today. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you to my friend, CMO, speaker, and best-selling author, Jeanette McMurtry. Jeanette is a best-selling author of Marketing for Dummies. And by the way, we will be there'll be a question at the end of the conversation today. And for those of you, for the first person who gets it right, will get an autograph copy, Jeanette, autograph copy, maybe autograph copy of the book. Yeah, Marketing for Dummies. Jeanette is also a frequent and highly rated keynote speaker at global events and a strategic advisor with a demonstrated track record of using psychology-based marketing. And we'll be talking a lot about that today as well. So Jeanette will also share some of her secrets and you'll walk away with some actionable takeaways. Man, I'm already falling all over my words 5 seconds into our conversation. So you ready to do this, Jeanette?
I am.
All right. So obvious question up front, with all the chaos in the world today, what is a marketing team, whether the team is 50 people or 1 person? What are they to do?
Well, first of all, I want to back up a little bit and say thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this program. I am really honored because I have learned so much from you over the years. Like you said, we've been friends for I don't know how many years, but I'm very grateful for what I've learned working with you. And just big congratulations to Proformex for all the things that you guys are doing. I'm really amazed and impressed with this company. So flattered, excited to be here today. So you ask a very important question. What is a marketer to do in a state of chaos? And I think that everybody on this broadcast today will probably agree with both of us that the world is in a state of chaos. And I'm not just talking about, the politics and the pending election and the COVID, but even before all this, our businesses started to face chaos because of all the uncertainty that's in our world from many different aspects. And part of that's because of the speed of technology and the speed of change. And over the last several years, we've had, several recessions. It seems like every 10 years we have a recession, and everyone has to regroup and rethink about what to do. And everybody asks that question, what do you do? What do you do with your business? Do you market? Do you not market? Do you advertise? Whatever. What do you do? And the best answer I have is take a break and carry on. And what I mean by that is take a break from the stress. We tend to just panic all the time. Oh no, the sky is falling. The world is doomed. I'm going to lose my business. And we focus so much on the stress that we can't really move forward. And I can tell from you totally understand what I'm saying. Yeah. But what I mean by carry on is carry on by doing the things that you're doing that have built success for your business up until the point where that recession hits. And it's not just what's happening now. Every few years we have something hit that slows us down and puts us in the fear zone. And if we tend to stay in the fear zone, we're not getting out of it.
Yeah, I can totally relate, because it's one of the things we always, there's a lot of different terms. I think every company that I've been involved in, we always come up with a different saying for the same thing, right? When we were at Macro Point, we had this term that we called just keep chopping no matter what, like just keep going no matter what. and at Proformex, we're continuing to like just keep going every day. And the mindset, from our standpoint, is very, very simple, right? We always want to play offense. We never want to play defense. And so you're either going forward or you're going backwards, right? And it goes way back to the days when I first started. I had my own media buying agency. And I think we had the conversation yesterday where there's two lenses to look at marketing, advertising, whatever term you want to call it. And when I would meet with somebody, the first question I would ask them was, do you view marketing as an investment, or do you look at it as an expense, right? Is it the first thing that you cut when things get bad, or is it the first thing that you invest in when things get bad? And what I mean by invest, right, it's not necessarily money, especially now with all the social media and things that you can do. There's a ton of things that you can do that don't cost any money. They take a little, maybe a little writing, a little time for LinkedIn, whatever it is. But there's all kinds of things that you can do that are an investment in your time to market your business. I know I've kind of gone off the deep end, but the whole key to it is, like, you don't need to have big fancy systems or expensive software platforms that can help you market. There's literally things that taking 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, just to post something and ways to, build your following. So to your point, right, it's a growth mindset, right?
That's exactly what I want to build on.
Yeah.
It's marketing more than ever. And you just set the perfect segue for what I feel is really important for everyone here to take away from this broadcast. And that is that marketing is more of a mindset than it is anything else. It's not about mastering a technology, mastering an ad campaign. It's not about mastering anything anymore. Obviously, because everything changes at the speed of light in our world. It's about your mindset. And I just wrote a column on this. I'm actually getting ready to start writing for Adweek on this very kind of thing. And that is exactly, how do you take the right mindset to marketing in a chaotic world, and not just a chaotic world, but in a rapidly changing world. I mean, even if everything was perfect, it is changing so fast, and it's all about the mindset you take to change. And a lot of people can't deal with that. Yeah. But let's talk about something you just hit on, the difference in our mindset. There's really two mindsets that apply to building a business and sustaining a business to success and profitability. One's a growth mindset, and one is a fixed mindset. Now, what really is interesting is that most of us don't realize it. We operate our businesses from a fixed mindset. We are taught to focus on the tangibles: cost, overhead, ROI, making sure we're not spending more than we're bringing in. And we're basically left brain thinking. That does not work. In fact, Harvard Business Review put out a really good study on this. And they studied the last 3 recessions, including 1999 and 2009 and a couple others. They studied what happened to businesses and how businesses that came out of the recession fared based on mindset. And what they found was that 17% of the businesses that they studied at the beginning of recession completely failed. And those were the companies that completely focused on the fixed mindset. And the first thing they do is cut costs. And most companies lay off people. That's the absolute worst thing that you can possibly do, is start cutting your staff. The minute you start cutting staff, it sounds counterintuitive because people are indispensable, right? No. Companies that start cutting staff as their means to deal with the recession are the companies that start losing their core people, because you just said a vote of lack of confidence for your own business and your own ability to succeed and thrive. When you start taking away the people that are, part of the business, everyone else gets scared. And you see that people start to leave. It creates a complete morale implosion.
Do you have an example of something like that would be relevant to like any historically over the last couple of years?
I'm going to give you the example that Harvard Business does, because has in their study, because I think it's the most powerful one. But I mean, all of us can think of examples right now. Look at all the companies around you that you operate now that are really struggling. What's the first thing they did? They cut programs or services, or they cut staff. Well, if you cut staff, you're going to have to cut programs and services. And you still have a lot of businesses and a lot of clients that rely on you to keep moving forward. And as soon as you start sending the signal that you're not doing well, there's a domino effect that you cannot control. And you're extremely naive and somewhat not of a good business leader if that's your first reaction. And
I just want to ask you a question on this. So on that, is that like, again, psychology based? I mean, just to bring it back to that for a second, but is that just a pure perception from the outside, inside, both, like that you're not set up to succeed? How does that, what's the psychology of that?
The psychology is basically when you're focused on hunkering down, you're focusing on the fear of loss. Now, we as humans, our nature is to first focus on holding on to what we have when we are presented with a threat. We will do extreme things to focus on, or to make sure we don't lose what we have. The fear of loss drives our behavior. There's a lot of research out there that shows we are more inclined, just our human nature, to pay a premium in price or resources or time to avoid a loss than we are to pay money to gain a reward. And that were not true. I'm sorry to tell you this, but the insurance industry would not exist.
Yeah.
People pay thousands of dollars a year to make sure they don't lose their home, they don't lose their car, they have their family set up with life insurance. We will pay a premium to make sure we don't lose something. We are not spending that same amount of money that we're spending on our insurance policies, whatever kind they are, to gain rewards. We're not doing that. We're not going to the lotteries, and we're not, out spending things that we could have just for fun. We're worried about losing what we have. That is human nature. So let's go back to this growth versus fixed mindset for just a moment. So the fixed mindset is hunkering down, holding on to what you have. And again, it sends a very negative signal to those that you need to stay on your business in order to operate, but it also sends a very mixed signal to your customer base that you're scared that you're not going to succeed. So the companies that take a chance, find a way to maintain business as usual, are those that are operating with a growth mindset. Now, here's what's really amazing. The growth mindset, according to this study, the companies that go into a recession and focus with a growth mindset, and I'll explain to you what that means, they only 9% do. And those 9% come out of a recession with more revenue, more profitability, and higher on the competitive scale than they were when they left. Now, let me tell you why. Growth mindset is someone who has the confidence, they believe in themselves, they believe in their company, they believe in their vision, they believe in what they can do, and they believe they can overcome challenges. So instead of hunkering down and cutting and holding on to every little thing and being paranoid of everything they do and worrying about who's costing them what amount of money, they focus on, oh, what can I do better? Gee, we're in a recession. That means I can invest in A, B, and C at less money than I probably could last year, and I probably will be able to next year. So let me focus on investing in my future because I believe I have a future. Now, when you start operating like that, what happens to your employees? They get behind you, they appreciate you, they value you, they embody your passion, and they go way overboard to work harder and make sure that that positive attitude succeeds. When you start cutting staff, what do? They fear you, they don't trust you, and they leave. Just look around you. So, okay, back to the example, you asked me for an example. So in this study that Harvard Business Review did, and I wrote a column on this, and I'll send you the link if you want to push that out. It was in Target Marketing Magazine just last month on the growth versus the fixed mindset. And what this study says is, gives two examples, Office Depot and Staples. So I think it was the 2009 recession or the 2000 recession. Office Depot hunkered down. They cut stores back, they closed some stores, they cut staff. What happened was their service sucked. They really didn't have as many services as they used to. Customers couldn't get the need that they did, and customers started to wonder if they're going out of business. Well, here comes Staples. Okay, Staples was not anywhere near Office Depot at the time in terms of revenue. They were about $6 billion below Office Depot's revenue. And they decided that we're going to invest in people. We're going to hire more staff. We're going to offer more services. We're going to streamline our locations, make sure that they're operating more efficiently. But we're going to come out of this and we're going to offer more services so people know that we care about them, and we're going to make this transition easy for our customers, not just easy for us. At the end of the recession, they doubled their sales. Office Depot lost over 10% of their revenue, or close to that, and Staples doubled their sales. And to this very day, Staples still maintains revenues of more than $1 billion more per year than Office Depot. And they weren't even in the running before the recession. So again, what do we need to do as marketers? We need to think about what can we do to maintain business as usual, give a signal to our customers that we're confident in our ability to succeed. We're going to make it easy for you, and we're here for you, and we're going to grow and help you grow no matter what the challenges are that we face. I mean, it's real, it's psychology. Think of it, Dave. We don't follow losers except for you when it comes to football games, but
That was a cheap shot.
I know, and I can't talk.
By the way, we are 3-1 right now.
I know, and Deborah's 1-3. So I really shouldn't have, that was a bad example.
Bad example, but go ahead. It's still early.
We don't follow losers.
Right.
And the most important thing that anyone listening to this broadcast needs to focus about is what are you going to do to show yourself that you have the ability to grow and show your customers at the same time.
Right. So what are some of the growth opportunities that small businesses or agencies should be looking for, right, that will be sustainable moving forward?
Things that you'd probably just take for granted.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things we can do is start to look at opportunities to collaborate. We are really in a new era of business, and we're seeing a lot of collaboration through, and I would say that's one good thing that we've seen through COVID is a lot of companies are coming together to collaborate. How can we team up to offer a more seamless, process for customers to get what you have and what I have, and looking for partnerships and things to do. I think that's a really important thing to do. And I will say that's one of the things I think that your company was founded on was collaboration. So if there's an example of success, I think it's Proformex. Maybe you want to tell a little bit more about.
Yeah. So one of the things that not just Proformex, but McMurtry and a couple of other businesses, our sales model, our whole business is really based on collaboration, or what we like to call the network effect, community effect. So whether it's our product, right, itself, how we build our product, we spend an inordinate amount of time in a good way with our partners. We think we know what the market needs, but the reality is the market tells you what they need. So we continually, month in, month out, are working with our partners to what are the features and functions that they would like to see in building our product. What are the things that they're using? Because just because we're sitting, for lack of a better term, like the ivory tower, right? We're not on the front lines. They're the ones who are using it. And then in addition, from the sales standpoint or the commercial side, we love to deal with the frontline people, the agents, the advisors, the producers who are using the product, but also the BGAs, who are they're a step above for those who aren't in the insurance business, and that the agents, the producers rely on. We work with them to help promote our product downline, and it's a win-win across the board. Or as simple as marketing our user conference, cheap plug here, that we're having in 2 weeks. That not only do we promote it via social media and emails and things like that, but we go to our channel partners, our customers themselves, and say, hey, would you, as simple as just like, hey, would you mind help sharing the word? I think there's something here that would benefit your customers, your partners. So across, it sounds silly, but we're always better as a group than we are individually, right? We can scale bigger, we can provide more value. And so it's something that I know myself and our leadership team subscribe to, not just in from a sales standpoint and trying to gain revenue, right? But it's really just how we operate is, whether you want to call it the network effect or the community effect, it's we're better together than we are just on our own.
And I think you touched on something really important from a tactical point of view. And I'm hoping that we can leave some people with some tactical ideas at the end of this event. And that is, look for ways to build your network like David just mentioned. And because as you build your network, they may not pay off now. You might not get revenue or new sales, but long term, you're going to get referrals. You're going to get, joint selling opportunities. So set yourself up for these things. And if it's okay, another thing I'd like to suggest that people do is this is the time to do what Staples did. Invest in your future by investing in the technology that allows you to build better relationships with your customers. That is what the world revolves around now. It's really funny. People think that, the best thing to do to be competitive is to have a competitive price, have better customer service, have a better brand reputation or convenience. No, it boils down to your brand reputation and how people feel when they work with you. And people will put price aside, even convenience. They'll give you a few chances to make a mistake and they'll keep coming back. As long as they have a positive relationship with you, they trust you to be responsive, they trust you to be fair, they trust you to take care of them before you take care of your own bottom line. And when you can build relationships on those foundations of trust and customer advocacy, you do two things. You keep your book of business now, and that book of business becomes a free sales force for you. And this is the time right now. You're not probably going to get a lot of acquisition when times are crazy and people are holding on to everything they have, but you're going to get a lot of acquisition for really no extra output on your costs in terms of money or sales effort if you build relationships with your current customers to keep them so happy, keep them informed, keep them educated, help minimize their fear of what's happening in the world around them by providing educational opportunities or dialogues. Just check in, let people know you care about them. Those are the things that will pay off when we come out of this. And when we come out of this, they'll be your champions and they'll be for business to you, and they'll probably give you more of their own business. And I don't think people realize how important that is. Because I think it's really easy to take for advantage our current business and our current, customers sometimes, and not really pay attention to how well we're managing that relationship. And that's where I think programs like what Proformex has is mission critical. And I'm not giving you a plug, I'm giving CRM a plug, because if you're not monitoring, even though I would be happy to give you a plug, but I'm not going to, you need technology to help you understand exactly the needs of the customer. If you are not segmenting your customers and setting up your database for triggered marketing based on specific needs, specific opportunities for them, and you're not personalizing your communication, and you're not monitoring which clients are at risk or which clients have opportunities, not only are you leaving money on the table, you're missing the opportunity to nurture those relationships that create lifetime value and referrals. And I don't care if good times or bad times, you are not going to succeed if you don't keep your book of business. It is the old adage is 20 times more expensive to gain a customer than it is to keep a customer. It's more and more true all the time, but change that number 20 times to over probably 100 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of technology relative to marketing are people using today to get a glimpse of their customers at a high level?
You have to have a really good CRM tool, and you need to be able to set yourself up to, to get involved in some of the new technologies that allow you to retarget and follow your customers. You need to find out what websites they're going to, what are their monitor transaction histories. One of the things that people do not do, which I find so surprising in this era, is we're not doing enough activities to really help us understand the voice of the customer. How often do you survey your customers? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but think of it.
Yeah.
How often do you survey your customers?
Every month, but yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm happy to, because it's one of the things we're very proud of is that we literally ask our customers for feedback every single month, and we do use the platform.
And you're an awesome brand marketer, but so many companies don't ever.
Yep. Yeah, we use a thing called NPS, or Net Provider Score. We use a platform called Churn Zero. Again, this is probably something more of a high level thing, from a tech company that we constantly want to know, but we're constantly looking for feedback. And the ones that we're not scoring well on, our customer success team is continually outreaching to figure out what the problem is and how to fix it, where are we falling short. So to your point, I think it's, you don't need a piece of technology for that if you're a smaller agency, if you have 50 customers. To your point, right? It's like, but you got to be doing something. You have to reach out.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
Okay, SurveyMonkey.
Right.
So inexpensive.
Right.
And you can send, you can even do 10 questions for free and not even have to have a paid account. All you have to do is, and SurveyMonkey, let's go back to your NPS. That is really important. It's nothing new. The Net Promoter Score is nothing new.
Right.
How many companies don't even bother to find it out? Why is that an important metric? It's a huge metric because it tells the question, and for those of you who don't know what that question is, the question simply is, how likely are you to refer our business to your friends or peers? Simple question. But what that question tells every marketer is, one, how loyal are you really? If you're not likely to promote us, then you're at risk. And if you're likely to promote us, then you would be a good champion for recommendations and for referrals, and your likelihood to continue buying more from us versus just stay loyal, there's a likelihood to give us more of your business. Those are really important things that you need to know about every single customer. With the CRM tools today too, there are so many out there that are not very expensive. They're not hard to implement. They're not hard to line up and integrate with an email platform. And if you're not doing this, why?
Yeah.
No, it's so simple. Even if you have 100 customers or you have 100,000 customers, there's no reason why you shouldn't be out there emailing your customers all the time. You segment your customers into different groups: opportunity-based, geography-based, RFM, recency, frequency, monetary. Sort your customers according to their relationship with you. Send out personalized mass emails every single week. There's research that shows the more you email, the higher your open rates are. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. You need a reason to engage, and you need to engage on two levels. One, tell people what you're all about, what you can do for them. Of course, that's what business is all about. But you also need to engage on a personal level. Hey, we're here for you. How can we help you make wiser, informed decisions? Now, I call it educational or informational marketing. And it's a really critical strategy in building relationships. If every single point of contact that you have with a customer is you trying to sell them something, don't bother. You're not going to keep that. Nobody wants to always constantly have a relationship that's one-sided. But if you're out there trying to educate and inform, did you know about these trends? Are you aware of these issues? This regulatory policy might do this to us or might do that. We're your friends, we're your partners. We're going to help you understand what this means for you, your family, your bottom line, whatever it is you're trying to reach in your life or whatever goals. And let's collaborate. Going back to what we talked about earlier, let's collaborate. Collaboration isn't just about collaborating with other businesses, but collaborating with your customers to help you all get to the end goal.
Yep. Well, they like to say the customers want to be told, not sold, right?
Yes.
Educated.
That will never change. That's one thing that I've learned. As you mentioned when you introduced me, I really moved my career from really just marketing strategy, marketing tactic, to helping to what I call psychology-based marketing, which is helping clients in all industries understand the psychology of choice. And when you understand the psychology of choice, your marketing can be so much more successful. And again, it takes price out of the equation, and everybody needs to do that. And relationships, what do? They trigger one of the most important hormonal rushes that drives human behavior. Do you know what it is?
What's that?
I'm putting you on the spot. Oxytocin. If it's funny because there are two hormones that we as marketers have to be able to push off. And I sound like I'm talking about teenagers, and I'm not. And, in Colorado, I call it marketing on dope because we were the first state to pass legalized dope. Not that I would know much about that, but we have to do things that marketers have to do. You have to create dopamine rushes, and you have to create oxytocin rushes. Dopamine is that drug that makes us feel on top of the world. We can do anything. We can self-actualize. We're awesome. We're cool. We're a TikTok famous or whatever it is that you could be. You love yourself. When you love yourself and you feel good about the world in which you're operating, and you feel like you could succeed, and your growth mindset is going all the way to the top, what do? You buy more.
Yeah.
And you stay loyal because it's like a drug.
Yeah.
And a brand that makes you feel good about yourself becomes an addiction. And people don't realize that. Now, what about, let's go back to oxytocin. Oxytocin is the love drug. It's the hormone that is released that makes us feel connected to other people. And if you look at what drives happiness and what drives human behavior more than anything, it's knowing that we belong to a tribe. We talk about that stuff all the time in our society, knowing that other people think we're cool, knowing that people accept us. It's not just about love. It's about acceptance and self-worth, and knowing that people think you're pretty awesome. That triggers oxytocin. When a brand makes you feel like you're part of their tribe or part of their community, you are going to go back again and again and again. Hormones don't care about price. They care about how you feel.
Well, that's an interesting segue to, Proformex. Our founder, Mike Pepe, created Proformex, with looking out for the consumer, looking out. The Proformex is actually formed of three words: protect, inform, exceed. Right? Protect the consumer, inform the consumer, exceed expectations. So creating that raving fan brand that makes you feel good on your purchase. I mean, granted, it's insurance technology, but the idea being is that it is a solution that helps you and is there for you to help not only you but helps your customers as well.
I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
Secret
interesting.
code.
What's that?
Secret code to find out what you're.
Secret code, right?
Yeah.
Right. So and also another hack, just when you were talking, I didn't want to interrupt you because you're on a roll there, but when we're talking about CRMs, one of the ones that we use here, but not advocating it one way or the other, but we use HubSpot. They have a free platform that you can use. I mean, you have to pay for it once you get past a certain size. But if you're a single agency, have 100 people or 100, 200, it's not at scale, but it's something that you could jump into, you spend a little time, use for free. And it's a great way just to, a hack that you can just start tomorrow, start today. You could literally go online, go to HubSpot.com. I feel like I'm selling for them. I'm not.
It's fabulous. And since you're promoting names, I'm going to throw a couple out there too that I use for small and medium-sized businesses, and I've never been disappointed. And that's SurveyMonkey, which we already mentioned. Yep. And that gives you the NPS algorithm and everything, so you don't have to figure it all out yourself. And MailChimp.
Yep.
I'm pretty darn impressed with these little things, and even companies like GoDaddy. They're priced for small businesses and they pay off results, and they help you get a glimpse of your customers and really find out, be able to sort customers according to their relationship with you. And that's what it really boils. If you want to turn chaos into cash, focus on the relationship, and these are the tools that are affordable, let you do it.
Yeah. And all the tools, right? One of the things we focus on every day at our company is visibility, right? The key word is visibility. How do you turn visibility into opportunity, right? So whether it's SurveyMonkey, whether it's HubSpot, whether they all have reporting functionality that says, okay, well, this email did really well. This one, not so much, right? I mean, now we're getting into blocking and tackling, like, okay, well, what was your messaging and this or that? But you don't know to change anything if you don't have the visibility into that. You don't know that you're missing with a customer if you don't reach out to them in some way, shape, or form and get a net promoter score or feedback on their satisfaction, right? At the end of the day, marketing is the outbound, but what we really want is the visibility into how we're doing, are we connecting, and are we providing opportunities to our customers, to our people downline.
Well, like you said, ignorance is not bliss.
Right.
Ignorance in this day and age with all the tools that we have is I'm just going to make a really strong point. If you are not doing what you just said, watching your customers book a business, looking at opportunities that you can then be a friend and an advisor to help them do better and protect themselves, you're not following what's important. You're not advocating for them because you're not watching what is going on in you're not monitoring their needs. It's what I'm trying to say. You're not monitoring their needs besides just yours. If you're not taking a look at your customers and marketing to them to serve their needs more than yours, guess what? Your competition is. Because like I just said, there's some really big tools out there that are really, really cheap. And every smart business person is investing in building relationships using technology that allows them to come across as highly personalized when they're actually in mass. If you set up your customer databases, you can do what I call mass personalization so easily, and everybody feels like you care about them. And you get those oxytocin rushes just from an email that says, hey, I'm checking in on you. I noticed that your policy, or you haven't got your car changed for a while, or I've noticed that you haven't been, you haven't been taking advantages of some really big discounts we can offer you. What does that do?
Right.
About that. What does that do? Oh my God, someone cares about me. I just had an experience with AutoZone, and I'm going to promote them, and I'm going to promote them in a really, really big way. My car battery died. I had 3 cars die all at the same week. So I'm pretty stressed. So I get my battery jumped, it barely starts. I drive it to AutoZone to buy a battery because there's no mechanic around here that would do it for me. Someone told me, I'm not kidding, buy a battery and bring it into us and we'll try to find the time to put it in your car. Okay, really? Are you serious? Okay, that's what happens when you live in a ski resort. You don't have many options. But anyway, the point is, I'm just freaking out. So I go to AutoZone, I'm complaining to the manager. I go, my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And she's like, don't worry. She went out to my car. Actually, a woman, I loved it. She took my old battery that had acid all over it because it was so bad, took it out, and she put in a new battery for me. Yeah. Didn't charge me a thing. She took her time away from other customers. She made me feel so important that night. And here it was in the dark. This door's getting ready to close. And then she's like, oh, you know what? I told her, I said, now I just got to figure out how to get air in my tires because my tire signal was on when the battery came on. Don't you worry. She went and got an air compressor. She alone, on her own, put air in all 4 of my tires. She didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
She didn't have to be that kind. Will I forever be a customer there? Absolutely, because the oxytocin is still flowing. I'm talking about it 2 days later.
Yeah.
What can you do? Just little things that are unexpected that don't cost you money, don't cost you a lot of time, but you're going to get people loyal to you and talking about you. And I know I want to bring up one more concept that's really important to how you make customers feel. And if you don't mind me moving into a different section, this is a really important message for every single company. I don't care how big you are. Marketing is not so much just mastering campaigns anymore. It's important to do all the things we're talking about in terms of mass communications and content marketing allows your customers to make wise, informed decisions. But something that's incredibly important for everyone to think about now is marketing is a movement now. Marketing is a movement. I want you to think about the brands that you support. How many brands do you support because they have like values and they can prove to you that they are about making the world a better place? Tom's Shoes is one of the first brands that actually started as a movement, not as a retail business. And in 3 years, they were a $25 million business. And you know what their marketing campaigns were? They never had a marketing campaign. They just said, join us for a movement. We're going to have a day without shoes at the Central Park. Everybody show up in Central Park. We're going to have a free concert. Don't wear shoes because we want you to know what it's like to be a little kid in a poor developing country or struggling country who has to work at the factories and they have to walk to the factories every day and they don't have shoes. We want you to know what it feels like. They had hundreds of thousands of people show up to all of their days without shoes. They never, ever have promoted their product. They have promoted their movement. So every single person on this call, I want you to think about what can you do to make the world a little bit of a better place and to really show your values, because that's what every consumer wants to align with a company that is doing good for the world for the right reasons and cares more than just their profit bottom line. And if you don't believe me, I'm sure you might be familiar with this, Dave. There's a group called Cone Communications, and every single year they put out CSR reports. And they tell you just exactly how important CSR is, which is corporate social responsibility. And they show every year it gets higher and higher and higher. What percentage of customers are willing to switch a brand, even if it's more money, because they want to align with a brand that has like values and is qualifying and quantifying their commitment to the world. Take a guess at what the last report showed in terms of how many consumers will switch brands to be aligned with a CSR company. Just
80%, north of 80%. North of 80%.
North of 80%. It went from 88 to 92% was the last time I saw. It fluctuates between 88 and 92. That's massive.
Yeah.
And if you're a marketing person and you're not incorporating CSR and giving your customers a chance to be a part of your movement, you aren't going to succeed nearly as much as you could. It takes price out of the equation, builds relationships for life, brings you referrals and repeat business. And that's one of the most fundamental ways and inexpensive ways to turn chaos into cash. It's just by being good and doing good.
Yep. All right. So I know we're over on time, but that's okay. So we want to give away a copy of Jeanette's book. So the question is, and the first person to answer here gets the book, and we'll send it out to you. What does Proformex stand for? So if you're paying attention earlier and not falling asleep, I gave out the answer. But if you just first person to put that in the chat box, we'll get that. I'd like to thank Jeanette for joining us today. It was super insightful. I always love our conversations because they, I mean, I think the first time we met years ago and we were sitting in Denver and just talking, I think we ended up talking for like 3 hours just on the fundamentals of marketing, from tactical to psychology. And I don't know, like people geek out on certain things. And the two of us definitely geek out on that. If you want to purchase Jeanette's book or you want to get in touch with her, whether it's for speaking, insight, or just chat with her, her information is up here on the screen right now, right here, targetmarketingmag.com. You can follow her. She has a blog. It's going to be writing in Adweek, is it?
Adweek. Yep.
Adweek, right. And then, so easily accessible, highly personable, as you can tell. And then if you haven't registered for our user conference, please go to our website or to the link proformex.com/inforce-2020. Registration is free, but you do have to register for the event. That will be taking place on October 21st from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And I think that is it. Jeanette, again, thank you so much for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. I've had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yep. All right. Until next time, thanks for joining Marketing with Morris. Take care.